The moment I picked up that silver pen from my wife's desk, I heard a click, not the kind of click you'd expect from a pen. This was mechanical, deliberate. The wall behind Diana's bookshelf started sliding open like something out of a movie, and what I found behind that wall changed everything I thought I knew about my life. My name is Lawrence Phillips. I'm 58, been running Phillips Construction and Development for 25 years. 5 years ago, I lost my wife, Margaret, to cancer. 3 years ago, I married Diana Torres thinking I'd found love again. I was wrong about a lot of things. It started 6 months ago when my daughter Stephanie went missing. She was 24, just graduated from college, had her whole life ahead of her. The police found her car abandoned near Green Lake, doors open, keys inside, no sign of struggle, no note, nothing. Detective Davis told me these cases usually don't end well, but I never stopped looking. That Tuesday morning in November, I decided to surprise Diana at her interior design office downtown. We'd been having problems lately. I'd been forgetting things, losing focus during board meetings. Diana kept saying I should see a doctor, maybe take some time off. She was probably right, but something felt off about how concerned she was getting. I parked in the visitor spot at the Columbia Plaza and took the elevator to the 15th floor. The building was one of those newer high-rises with all glass and steel, the kind that makes you feel small when you're standing in the lobby looking up. Diana's office suite was at the end of the hall with her company name Torres Design Solutions etched in silver letters on the glass door. Her assistant Linda Williams wasn't at the front desk, so I walked straight back to Diana's corner office. The space was all modern, white leather chairs, a glass desk that probably cost more than most people's cars, and floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of Elliott Bay. Diana always said first impressions mattered in her business. That's when I saw the pen. It was sitting on Diana's desk next to her computer, right there in plain sight like it belonged there. A silver Mont Blanc with initials engraved on the side, SP. Stephanie Phillips, my daughter's pen, the one I'd given her for graduation just 7 months ago. She'd been so excited about it, said it made her feel professional, like a real adult. My hands were shaking when I picked it up. Why would Diana have Stephanie's pen? They barely knew each other. Stephanie had been polite to Diana but distant, the way kids are when their parent remarries. There was no reason for this pen to be here unless I gripped the pen tighter, and that's when I heard it. A soft mechanical click, like the sound of a lock disengaging. The wall behind Diana's bookshelf shuddered, then the entire section began to slide to the left with a low humming sound. Behind the wall was darkness and a narrow staircase going down. The air coming up from below was stale cold, like it hadn't moved in months. I should have called the police right then, should have backed away and gotten help. Instead, I found myself moving toward those stairs. Each step down was narrow and steep, the kind that weren't meant for regular use. I counted them without thinking, 10, 15, 20 steps total. At the bottom, my eyes adjusted slowly to the dim light from a single LED fixture hanging from the ceiling. The room was maybe 12 feet by 15 feet, with concrete walls painted white and no windows. In the corner was a small bed with a thin mattress and a gray blanket. Beside it sat a folding table with a bottle of water and what looked like protein bars. Against the opposite wall was a mini refrigerator, the kind you'd find in a college dorm, and a narrow door that had to lead to a bathroom. High up on the wall, mounted where it could see everything, was a security camera with a blinking red light. The room was clean, organized. Someone had designed this space with care, had planned it out. This wasn't some makeshift prison, this was built for long-term use. On the bed, curled up under the blanket with her back to me, was a figure I'd recognize anywhere. Stephanie, I whispered. She turned over slowly, like she was having trouble focusing. Her dark hair was longer than I remembered, matted and dull. Her face was gaunt, with shadows under her eyes and cheekbones that were too sharp. When she saw me, her eyes went wide with an expression I'd never seen before, not just surprise but disbelief. Like she was seeing a ghost. Dad? Her voice was barely audible, cracked from disuse. You're really here. I crossed the small space in 3 strides and dropped to my knees beside the bed. She pushed herself up on one elbow, staring at me like she couldn't quite believe I was real. Then she seemed to understand that this wasn't some hallucination, and she collapsed forward into my arms. The sobs that came out of her shook her whole body. Deep, wrenching sounds that told me everything about what the past 6 months had been like. I held her close, one hand cradling the back of her head, feeling how much weight she'd lost, how fragile she'd become. You're here, she kept saying over and over. You're really here. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm here. I've got you. I pulled back just enough to look at her to see what they'd done to my daughter. She was pale, too pale, and thin in a way that made my chest ache, but her eyes were clear and focused. She was weak, but she was still there. How long have you been here? I asked, though I was afraid of the answer. 6 months, she said, her voice steadier now, but still shaking. Diana, she drugged me, Dad. I was meeting her for coffee, trying to be nice to her. I thought maybe I'd been unfair, that I should give her a chance since you seemed happy. The words hit me like a physical blow. All those times Diana had suggested I should spend more time with Stephanie, that we should all try to be closer as a family. She gave me a cup of coffee and we talked for maybe 10 minutes. Then I started feeling strange, dizzy. She said I looked pale, that maybe I should sit down. I remember sitting in her chair and then Stephanie's voice trailed off. I woke up here, my hands curled into fists. While I'd been falling apart, searching everywhere, posting flyers, working with the police, Diana had known exactly where my daughter was. She'd sat at our dinner table, listened to me talk about the search efforts, held me when I broke down crying, all while keeping Stephanie locked in this concrete room. She comes down once a week, Stephanie continued, her voice hollow, brings food, water, checks the camera. She told me no one would ever find me, that eventually, she swallowed hard. She said you were getting sick, that your memory was going. That by the time anyone declared me legally dead, it wouldn't matter anymore because you wouldn't even remember I existed. I felt sick. All those vitamins Diana insisted I take every morning, the special coffee blend she'd started buying, the doctor appointments she kept scheduling for me, she'd been systematically destroying my mind while my daughter wasted away in this room. Can you walk? I asked, pulling Stephanie to her feet. I think so. I'm just weak. She swayed a little, and I steadied her with my arm around her waist. She weighed almost nothing. We're getting out of here right now. We made our way back up the narrow staircase. The office was still empty, but I could hear voices in the hallway. Diana might come back any minute. I guided Stephanie toward the service corridor I'd seen maintenance crews use before. There was a freight elevator at the end that would take us down to the parking garage without going through the main lobby. I kept Stephanie low in the back seat as we drove out, my mind racing. Where could I take her? Not home. Diana would be there soon. Not the hospital, too many questions, too much paperwork that could alert Diana before we had a plan. I drove straight to Gary Foster's house in Laurelhurst. Gary had been my family lawyer for 20 years, handled Margaret's will when she passed, helped me navigate the legal issues when I started the company. If anyone could help us figure out what to do next, it was him. Gary's brick Tudor sat at the end of a quiet, tree-lined street. I'd been there for dinner parties, holiday gatherings, watched his kids grow up alongside Stephanie. It felt safe, which was something we desperately needed right now. Gary answered the door in his cardigan and reading glasses, obviously settling in for a quiet evening at home. When he saw us, his expression went from confusion to alarm in about 2 seconds. Lawrence, what's his voice trailed off as he took in Stephanie's condition. My God, Stephanie. His wife Carol appeared behind him, took one look at my daughter, and immediately went into action. She guided Stephanie to their living room couch, wrapped her in a thick blanket, and disappeared into the kitchen. She came back with water and soup, then quietly called their family doctor to come take a look at Stephanie. I told Gary everything while we waited. The pen, the hidden room, Diana's weekly visits, Stephanie's story about being drugged. Gary listened without interrupting, his lawyer instincts kicking in despite the shock. Lawrence, he said when I finished, this is kidnapping. Federal crime. We need to call the FBI immediately. No, I said. If we call them now, Diana will know something's wrong the moment agents show up at Columbia Plaza. She'll destroy the evidence, wipe the camera footage, claim she has no idea what we're talking about. By the time investigators get a warrant, there won't be anything left to find. Gary nodded slowly. So what do you want to do? I need someone who can investigate this properly. Someone who can help us build a case that'll stick. Gary was already reaching for his phone. Patricia Rodriguez. Former FBI, specializes in fraud and domestic crimes. If anyone can help us do this the right way, it's her. An hour later, Patricia Rodriguez sat in Gary's study with a laptop and a stack of files spread across the desk. She was in her late 40s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of calm authority that comes from years of federal work. She'd listened to our story without interrupting, taking notes in quick, precise strokes. Mr. Phillips, she said, I need to run some background checks on your wife. What can you tell me about her past? I realized how little I actually knew. She grew up in Phoenix, moved to Seattle about 4 years ago to start her design business. Her parents passed away when she was young, no siblings that I know of. Patricia was already typing. Torres Design Solutions. Let me see what comes up. She frowned at her screen. The business registration was created just 6 months before you met her. The testimonials on her website, she clicked a few more times. These names don't match any real people in the Seattle area. And most of these portfolio photos are stock images from design magazines. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means your wife's business is a front. The question is, a front for what? Patricia pulled out a small device that looked like a fingerprint scanner. I dusted the pen you found for prints. Let me run these through a database. She connected the device to her laptop and started typing. After a few minutes, a photo appeared on the screen. It was unmistakably Diana, but the name underneath read Victoria Morales, Las Vegas, Nevada. She was married to James Watson in 2018. Patricia continued. He died suddenly of a heart attack in 2020. Natural causes according to the medical examiner. She inherited $350,000 from his life insurance policy. Another photo appeared, same face, different name. Before that, she was Maria Santos in Phoenix, married to David Martinez from 2015 to 2017. He fell down the stairs at home, died from his injuries. She inherited his construction business, sold it for $280,000. I couldn't breathe. Patricia kept searching, pulling up more photos, more names, more dead husbands. At least 4 previous marriages that I can find so far, she said. All the husbands died within 2-3 years, all ruled natural or accidental causes. Your wife is what law enforcement calls a black widow, Mr. Phillips. She targets men with money, marries them, and then arranges for them to have accidents. The room was spinning. How many people has she killed? I'm still investigating, but based on this pattern, probably all of them. The good news is that you're still alive. The bad news is that now that Stephanie's missing from that room, Diana will know something's wrong. We need to move fast. Patricia pulled out a small device that looked like an ordinary pen. This is a recording device. I need you to go home tonight, act completely normal, and get Diana talking. We need her to admit what she's been doing. What about Victor? I asked. My business partner, I think he might be involved somehow. Patricia nodded. I'll look into that. Victor Martinez, right? She typed his name into her computer. I see some irregular financial transactions here. A $25,000 payment to one of Diana's shell companies 3 months ago. Victor, my partner for 15 years, the man who'd stood by me when Margaret died, who'd helped build the company into what it was today. Why would he betray me? Patricia pulled up another file. Does the name Henderson Project mean anything to you? My heart sank. The Henderson Project, 2018. Victor had come up with a brilliant structural solution for a difficult hillside site. We'd presented it to the client together, but somehow in all the paperwork and contracts, my name ended up getting most of the credit. I'd meant to correct it, but the project was so successful, and then there were other priorities. He developed the core innovation, but you got the recognition and the bonus, Patricia said, reading from what looked like company records. That project made your reputation in the high-end market. I never meant for that to happen. Maybe not, but it did. And 5 years later, when he was facing some serious gambling debts, Diana found him. Patricia showed me bank records on her screen. Look at this. Victor borrowed heavily against his house, took cash advances on multiple credit cards. He was in deep with some very bad people. The numbers were staggering. Victor owed over $200,000 to various creditors and loan sharks. Diana offered him a way out. Patricia continued. Help her with inside information about your finances and your family. And she'd pay off his debts and give him a fresh start. So this is all my fault, I said quietly. No, Patricia said firmly. You made a mistake 5 years ago. Victor made a choice to commit crimes. There's a difference. She closed the laptop. The plan is simple. You go home tonight and act like nothing happened. Take the vitamins Diana gives you, drink the coffee, act confused and forgetful. Let her think her plan is working. Meanwhile, I'll gather more evidence about her other victims and coordinate with the FBI. How long do we have? Not long. She'll notice Stephanie is gone within a day or 2 at most. We need recorded confessions and hard evidence before she realizes the game is up. The next few days were the hardest of my life. I went home to Diana that night and acted like nothing had happened. Smiled when she asked about my day. Ate the dinner she'd prepared. Took the vitamins she handed me with a glass of water. All while knowing she was a killer who'd been slowly poisoning me for months. You look tired, honey, she said, sitting beside me on the couch. How was work today? Long day, I managed to say. Victor and I were going over the quarterly reports. Numbers are getting harder to follow these days. Diana's eyes lit up slightly at that. Maybe you should take some time off. I've been thinking we should look into some of those memory care facilities we talked about, just for a consultation. The recording pen Patricia had given me was in my shirt pocket, picking up every word. You really think it's that serious? I'm worried about you, Lawrence. Yesterday you asked me the same question 3 times, and last week you forgot that meeting with the Henderson Project investors. She was good. Really good. Mixing real concerns with manufactured ones, making me doubt my own memory even when I knew what she was doing. I dumped the vitamins down the toilet when she wasn't looking. Started pouring the morning coffee into a travel mug and pretending to drink it during my commute, then dumping it in the parking lot. Within 48 hours, my head started clearing. I could focus again, remember details. I realized how far gone I'd been. Meanwhile, Patricia was digging deeper. She called me Wednesday morning with an update. I found the connection to Victor, she said. Diana didn't just randomly target him. She specifically sought him out because she'd been researching you for months. She knew about the Henderson project, knew about his financial problems, knew exactly which buttons to push. How did she find out about me in the first place? Your wife's obituary. Margaret's death was announced in the Seattle Times business section because of your company's prominence. Deanna reads those religiously, looking for wealthy widowers. She probably started planning this the day after Margaret's funeral. The thought made me sick. While I was mourning my wife, grieving the loss of my life partner, Diana was already calculating how to exploit that grief. There's more, Patricia continued. I contacted the FBI yesterday. Agent Rebecca Thompson specializes in interstate fraud cases. She's very interested in Diana's pattern of dead husbands across multiple states. When do we bring her in? Soon. But first, we need Diana to incriminate herself on tape. She's been careful so far. But Thompson thinks we can get her talking if we create the right scenario. Friday evening, Diana brought it up again. We were having dinner, and she seemed more insistent than usual. Lawrence, I made an appointment for you next week at Emerald Heights Memory Care. Just a consultation, nothing permanent. But I think we need to start looking at our options. That sounds expensive. Don't worry about the money, Diana said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I'll take care of everything. That's what wives do, right? We protect the people we love. The pen in my pocket was recording it all. Her voice, her words, the way she talked about spending money that wasn't hers yet. Saturday morning, Patricia called with the breakthrough we'd been waiting for. Agent Thompson got court orders to exhume James Watson and David Martinez, she said. The lab results came back yesterday. Both men had elevated levels of digitalis in their bone tissue. That's a plant extract that mimics heart attacks in people with pre-existing conditions. She poisoned them, all of them, we think. We also found something else. Diane has been in contact with a place called Emerald Heights for 3 months. She's put down a $15,000 deposit to reserve a room for you. My blood went cold. She's been planning this for months. Gets worse. She's also been researching Washington state conservatorship laws. Once she has you declared mentally incompetent, she can control all your assets, make medical decisions, essentially erase you from legal existence while keeping you alive just long enough to transfer everything to accounts she controls. The scope of the plan was staggering. Not just my death, but my complete erasure as a person. Deanna would have me declared incompetent, locked away in a memory care facility, and then slowly transferred my life's work into her own accounts. When I finally died, probably from complications related to dementia, she'd have every penny, and no one would question it. Monday morning, Patricia said, Thompson wants to set up a sting operation. Diana and Victor are meeting at your office to discuss the final transfer of business assets. We'll wire you up, get them both on tape discussing the conspiracy. What about Stephanie? She stays exactly where she is, safe at Gary's house. Once we have arrests, once we have convictions, then she can start rebuilding her life. Sunday night, I lay in bed next to Diana, listening to her breathe. She slept peacefully, no guilt or conscience troubling her dreams. In the morning, she'd wake up and make coffee, give me my vitamins, tell me how much she loved me. And it would all be lies, but I had something she didn't know about. I had my daughter back. I had evidence. I had people helping me who cared about justice. And tomorrow, Diana Torres, or whatever her real name was going to find out that some targets fight back. The recording pen sat on my nightstand, ready for one final performance. Monday morning came too soon and not soon enough. I got dressed for work like any other day, but this time I had a wire taped to my chest. Courtesy of Agent Thompson, the plan was simple. Get Diana and Victor talking about their conspiracy, while the FBI recorded everything from a van parked across the street. Diana made coffee and gave me my vitamins just like every other morning for the past 3 years. But this time, I knew exactly what was in them. Digitalis extract, probably. The same thing that had killed James Watson and David Martinez, and who knows how many others. Big day today, honey, she said, kissing my forehead. Victor called last night. He wants to finalize those asset protection papers we discussed. You know, just in case your condition gets worse, right? I said, playing confused. Asset protection, that sounds important. Don't worry about the details. Victor and I will handle everything. The meeting was set for 10 a.m. in my conference room. When I arrived at Phillips Construction, everything looked normal. The same crew trucks in the parking lot, the same receptionist at the front desk, the same view of Elliott Bay from my office windows. But nothing would ever be normal again. Victor was already in the conference room when Diana and I arrived. He looked nervous, kept checking his phone, couldn't seem to sit still. Diana, on the other hand, was perfectly composed. She had a leather portfolio with her full of documents that I was supposed to sign. Lawrence, Victor said, not quite meeting my eyes. These papers will protect the company assets while you're getting treatment. Treatment? Deanna sat beside me, her hand on my arm, the memory care facility we discussed. Remember Emerald Heights? They have an opening next week. She pulled out a brochure and spread it across the conference table. Beautiful grounds, smiling staff, comfortable rooms. It looked like a resort, not a prison. But I knew better now. How much will this cost? I asked. About $8,000 a month, Diana said smoothly. But don't worry. Once we transfer the business assets to the protection trust, everything will be covered. The wire under my shirt was picking up every word. Agent Thompson would be hearing all of this, building her case one sentence at a time. And what happens to the company? I asked Victor. I'll manage day-to-day operations, he said, still not looking at me. Diana will handle the financial oversight as your legal guardian. Legal guardian. Deanna squeezed my hand. It's called conservatorship, honey. Since your memory is getting worse, the court will appoint someone to make decisions for you. That's what families do. I looked at the papers spread across the table. Transfer agreements, power of attorney documents, conservatorship petitions. They'd thought of everything. Victor, I said quietly, why are you doing this to me? For the first time, he looked directly at me. The Henderson Project, Lawrence, you took everything. My design, my innovation, my future. You erased my name like I never existed. That was 5 years ago. We could have worked it out. No, Victor said, his voice bitter. You never even apologized, never acknowledged what you did, and when Diana offered me a way to get some justice. Justice. I stood up, my voice rising. You call kidnapping my daughter justice? Diana's face went pale. What are you talking about, Stephanie? You've had her locked in that room for 6 months. I don't know what you mean, Diana said, but her voice had changed. The sweet, concerned wife was gone. This was someone else entirely. Victor was staring at us both. What room, Diana? You said the girl was just staying somewhere safe until what, Victor? I asked. Until I was dead. That's when Agent Thompson and 6 FBI agents burst through the conference room door. Diana Torres, Agent Thompson announced, also known as Victoria Morales and Maria Santos. You're under arrest for kidnapping, fraud, and conspiracy in connection with the deaths of James Watson and David Martinez. Diana didn't move, just sat there staring at me with pure hatred in her eyes. You really thought you loved me, didn't you, Lawrence? I didn't answer. Wouldn't give her that satisfaction. Victor was trying to stand up, his hands shaking. I didn't know about the girl. I swear I didn't know she was hurting anyone. Victor Martinez, Agent Thompson said, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and accessory to kidnapping. As they led them away in handcuffs, Diana turned back to me one last time. You'll never trust anyone again, she said. I've ruined that for you forever. 3 months later, Diana pled guilty to avoid the death penalty. She got 4 consecutive life sentences without parole. The FBI investigation linked her to 6 deaths across 4 states. Victor got 8 years for his role in the conspiracy. Stephanie made a full recovery, physically at least. She's stronger than I ever imagined possible, but she still sees a counselor twice a week. She's thinking about studying criminal psychology when she goes back to school. Says she wants to understand how people become what Diana became. I sold Phillips Construction to my employees. Couldn't bear to keep running a company that had been built partly on someone else's stolen work. The money went into something better, the Margaret Phillips Foundation, dedicated to helping victims of elder fraud and domestic abuse. We've helped 47 people in our first year. People who were being isolated, financially controlled, slowly poisoned by the people who claim to love them. Stephanie runs the victim outreach program. She's brilliant at it, has a way of helping people feel safe enough to tell their stories. I'll probably never remarry, but I'm okay with that. I learned something important through all this. Trust isn't weakness, but blindness is. I let loneliness make me vulnerable to someone who saw me as nothing more than a target to exploit, but I also learned that some bonds can't be broken no matter what evil people try to do. Stephanie and I are closer now than we've ever been. We survived something that should have destroyed us, and it made us both wiser. The silver pen that started it all sits on my desk now, in a place of honor. Not as a reminder of what we lost, but of what we found. Sometimes the smallest things can unlock the biggest truths. And sometimes when someone threatens your family, fighting back is the only choice that matters. Diana was wrong about one thing I can trust again. Carefully, wisely, but I can still open my heart to people who deserve it. Because a life lived in fear isn't really living at all. Justice took time, but it was worth the wait. If you're a man my age reading this, remember, the people who prey on us study our loneliness like a textbook, but they can never truly understand the strength that comes from protecting the ones we love. Trust your instincts, verify what matters, and never forget that sometimes the most dangerous predators wear wedding rings and call you honey while they plan your destruction.